Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Bill.
Hope everything's good wherever you are in the world. And I'm just letting people in, so if you can give me a minute for that. What happens? Yeah, I'll just get started and we'll see as the people come in. I actually got to show my screen so I know where I'm going. Okie dokie. Okay, well, thanks for coming. And so this is one of our regular meetings of the Big Idea Future Network. And these days we're doing these AI show and tells because that's the thing that I think we all need to learn more about. This network is all about getting a handle on the future of business. And like tomorrow, I'm giving a talk in Niagara Falls about AI in the future of business. I was in Vancouver last week, and I was talking about the same topic. I gave 4 presentations out there. And the one thing that struck me was that most people in business don't really know that much about AI. Like there are some people that are really like on top of it, but like in every meeting I went to, if it was lucky if there was one person that was really quite on the ball when it came to AI, which it was not surprising, but that's not good. So that's why I think that's really important that we learn more about all of this because it's moving so quickly. Like every day I learn something new about AI and something like I'd never thought about before and something I could use it for literally every day. Like it's kind of overwhelming, obviously. So what I've been doing is making a database of all the different things that I'm learning and all the different things that I'm learning can use it for. So it's getting really, a lot of things, right? So this is what we're here to do. And what I really think is a good idea is that we learn from each other, right? So I could just sit here and talk for the next hour and a half about what I've learned, but then, well, frankly, I wouldn't learn anything because I wouldn't be learning from you. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to share it with each other. Now, there's one document here I just want to show you, and then I'm going to send it to you. And I did show this last time, but not everybody was here. So let me just grab that up. Here we go. And so hopefully you can see that okay. And so this is the scale that I created just to help people get a handle on where they're at. So if you can just take a look at that for a second and decide what number you are, right? So like 1 obviously is a complete beginner. 10 is to be like a total master at it. I don't think I've actually met one yet. I wouldn't include myself in that either. But so you might be like AI curious, you trade around with it a little bit. AI apprentice, you're starting to use some tools regularly. 4, you're like actively looking for tools to use, like not just ones that drop in your lap, but saying, I want to learn more. I want to find more tools. And that definitely something that I've been doing for a long time is just keep looking, because every time I find something that's useful, I go, wow, that's really helpful, and then a practitioner, you're really, really comfortable with it. It's like kind of like you've been taking music lessons and you've gotten, pretty good at just playing a song on the piano, or, you've been learning a language and, you can carry on a bit of a conversation in that language now. And then we get into these other higher levels, right? So just decide where you're at there. And the whole point of this network and this program I created this program called Big Idea AI Program, is to help people get up to, probably 8 anyway. Try to get to 8. So that's what we're up to here. And I believe that if you're going to be successful in business, you're going to have to be probably an 8 at a certain point. And one of the things I talked about in my presentations last week, because these are all business owners and CEOs, and I said, back in the day with the internet, like if you said, I want a website, you could just delegate that to someone else. Like you didn't really have to know how websites worked. You could just say, get me a website. They did it and you got your website. But in this world with AI, you can't delegate it. You've got to be on the ball just as much as anyone else that's working for you about this, because you have to understand how it works. You have to be obviously increasing your own productivity and value creation using it. So it's not something that you can just say, oh, I'll get someone else to do it or get someone else to do it in the future or whatever. You can hire people to help you, obviously, but you still have to be the one that's playing the piano, right? Using that analogy. So think about where you're at with that. I'll send you that scale in a minute when as a PDF in the chat. Okay, so I'll just actually maybe I should do that now. I don't forget. Yeah. Anybody have any comments about that scale? Like what number are you at, you think? There, I just sent that there. Who wants to tell us what number they are on there?
I think I'd be I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's a 3.
Yeah.
So I think 3 doesn't have you using it on a regular basis. I think 4 is the one that you.
Yeah, 4 would be it's just part and parcel of what you're doing every day.
Yeah, I'm very curious and have actually used ChatGPT more from a personal perspective. Like I wanted to see if I could use it more from just having a conversation with a friend.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I really was shocked that it said yes, and even more shocked with the quality of stuff that it came up with very quickly.
Well, yeah, no, and I don't know what we're using, ChatGPT or Gemini.
GTP.
Yeah. So, and you were actually talking to it verbally.
Yeah, I said, what if I wanted to use you as a bit of a counselor and stuff? Could I do that? He
Yeah.
says, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So did you use it as a counselor?
Yeah, I did, and got pretty got pretty deep.
Uh-huh.
It was I mean, it was work related, but
Right.
it'd be the type of stuff that I would have either said to like a coach
Mm-hmm.
or a counselor or a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I put in, so actually I took a chapter from one of the books I wrote
Mhm.
and gave it to him, says, I'm
Yeah.
trying to really finish the play on this thing that I started 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in a second, obviously, it read the chapter,
Yeah.
and then gave me feedback and then always ask questions so that you can ask more. And you forget, obviously, it's a machine you're talking to. And I guess you hope, yeah, it's not a machine you're talking to, but but you
Yeah. Well, you are.
but you are.
But
Yeah,
it has
exactly.
a feeling of, somebody, right? So one thing you could do, just take that further, is go into ChatGPT and create a project. So you'll
Yeah,
see there, just on the left side, it will say project. And then upload all your content, like not just one chapter, like put all your chapters in there. Plus anything else that's, related to the topic you talk about, like, all the different things you do. There might be other things that other documents, websites, YouTube videos, and so on. And you can just put that into the knowledge base of it, right? So
yeah.
that project has a brain that's been trained on all those things, and then talk to that, and that'll give you even more to go on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I set up an advisory board, and what I in ChatGPT. So what I did was I did two things with it. One was I used the deep research function, which is really amazing. And so what I did was I said, okay, well, let's say Seth Godin, marketing guy, who I've read all his books. So I said, okay, just do like a deep dive on him and write about a 50-page document on everything that he ever advised anybody to do, all his major advice, right? And then I got that document and then I put it into the knowledge base of that project, my advisory board. And then I just started adding other people like that in there. So as I've been building that up, then I go into it and I say, okay, well, I've been thinking of doing this with my business, or I've thought of this idea or whatever. What would the advisory board have to say about that? So now all those people are kind of in there advising me on that particular idea, right? And sometimes it comes back with things that are whatever, but sometimes it comes back with things that are really move the ball down the field, and that's really amazing. So it's kind of a sounding board, right? I don't,
Yeah.
I'll ever think it's going to replace human beings as well, but it does have, quite an amazing functionality if you do that. So that's something you might want to consider. But you're on your way. You're a 3, so you can make it to
Yeah,
4. 4 just means that it's like email and websites, browsers. You're just using AI in the same way. It's just always kind of on, and you're always accessing it. Maybe I could use it. Oh, here's the thing I'm doing. Here, let's use AI for that. That would make you a 4. Right?
Bill, I have a question.
Yeah.
Pardon me. With respect to your comment, and how you're using it as an advisory board, et cetera.
Yeah.
Even though you're creating a project, whatever information you put in there is available to the masses, right? Like nothing is confidential.
Well, that's something is debated, because as far as open AI, if I'm talking about ChatGPT, they're saying no, any conversation you have, any kind of prompts you put into it, any results you get back there, that's not being used as part of its training. Like, it doesn't then go into the big major brain. It's just the brain inside your account. Okay. So I think they have a vested interest in living up to that promise, because otherwise people won't use it, right? Because they'll say, well, I'm not going to put anything in there because I don't trust that you're not listening in or going to steal this information. But I say it's debatable, because I can't guarantee you can trust them 100%. Like, you can't trust anybody 100%. So you have to take your own counsel there and say, what am I willing to give it, and like Google, for example, they keep track of everything you ever put in there, right? So whatever you're putting in there, whether they tie it back to you directly, they're keeping track of everything that people are searching on, right? So
yeah, so Google keeps track of the search, but you're not sharing any information with Google as far as more detailed conversations, and to use your example as with an advisory board, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit different in that respect.
Oh, sure, for sure, yeah.
So
But
there are versions,
conversation,
right?
right?
So the free version, you're the product. So they absolutely use your data to train on the free version, right? On the paid version, there's various levels. Last I checked, on the team version, because there's Plus and Team, which are essentially the same level, except one is central billing for multiple people for your company, and Plus is the billing for one person, right? There's a toggle on the Plus for, and it's a little cryptic. It's like, help us improve the product, right? It's a little one of those Apple slider type things, right? And that's code for, we will train on your data, and it is on by default, even on the paid version. So you're correct, but you can flip that off, and then they promise, according to their information, that they will not train on your data. Then it's a question of whether you trust that or not, right? Then it's a question of whether you trust the company to do what they say. But there is a toggle in the Plus version to not help us improve the product, and then they promise not to train on the data. On the Teams version, which is the same level of ChatGPT, that toggle is off by default.
This is a team. So everybody look for that toggle and turn it off if you're worried about that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. It wasn't working before. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, and this is advice from an IP lawyer actually, the other thing that I do, if there is anything that you're working on, Tracy, for instance, it sounds like that you don't want it to get out there other than the toggle, still myself, I don't trust it. But taking a step further, I'm actually directing in the prompt saying, hey, everything we speak about here, treat it as confidential, don't share with anybody. If you ever see it, say it's copyrighted back to me. If, of course, it's your own material that you put in there. Again, I don't fully trust it either, but it's just another measure, and that was a suggestion from my appeal.
Yeah.
I'll add to that, the AI will also tell you if you want a full measure, just delete the conversations after you've done all those other two things, which we might not want to do.
Then you lose it as far as the memory.
That's right.
And they may still keep it anyways, depending on how much you trust them, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is why, you know, that a lot of companies are going to get into open source AI and private AI, which are kind of sort of connected. And that means that you'll have an AI that runs on your computer or your server or whatever you want. Like, I don't know if anybody has a server anymore, but it's resident in your company, and so it's not going out into the cloud to access ChatGPT or anything. It's just going you're accessing your own system. So something like DeepSeek, you can do that with that. You can download your own version of DeepSeek that's an AI model. It's trained, and you can run it on your computer. It's not anywhere near as powerful as the one you would access through the cloud, but more and more companies are going to start doing that because of this exact concern, right? So those open source private models will be really powerful eventually. So it'll be that's kind of a game changer, because everybody assumed that it would just be these big companies that you'd have to access. But maybe not. Maybe that won't be actually the future.
The other thing to do is you probably have some kind of trust relationship already right now. So your data is in OneDrive right now, or your data is in SharePoint, right? Or if you're Google, then your data is in Google Drive already.
Yeah.
So you're already trusting that company. Microsoft and Google both have their own AIs, right? Microsoft being Copilot, Google being Gemini, right? So if your data is already there and you're already using them for email and for all that sort of stuff, you're already trusting that company and you've made that decision. So then you can just keep going down that path and stay in the same ecosystem and not change anything.
Very good point. So there's already a lot of information that's out there. And that's why a lot of people were hesitant to get on the cloud back in the day, because they were saying, well, oh, wait a minute, I'm losing, control of my data. And then eventually people just started to trust it. In the same way, even before that, nobody wanted to put their credit card in anything online. That was people were really hesitant to do that. And then they go, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to trust that it won't get hacked. And mine's been compromised a couple of times, but I just changed. The credit card companies are now on that. So I guess this is just the world we live in. So I guess it's a balancing act. So, okay. So what I wanted to do, John has to leave a bit early, John Stroud, and John and I and Leslie are Leslie, where are you, Leslie? Yeah, there. Just put up your hand. Yeah. And John, put up your hand just so everybody can see you. John Stroud. John, there you go. We're kind of turning into a kind of a virtual internet team here for helping people. So we're working out how we're going to work together, but that's why they're here today, is partly. So I wanted to get John to talk about, you had an AI, and then I want to get an AI use case, and then I wanted to get Leslie to show, if you will, Leslie, your that app you made on Lovable. I think it was Lovable, wasn't it? Yeah, that's
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's start with John though, because he's got to leave a little earlier. So John, you sent me an email this morning.
Yeah.
You had something you might show.
Yeah, sure. So,
and you can share your screen if you want. I think you're able to.
Okay. Yeah. So share. Oops.
There we go.
Sorry. Oh yeah, here we go. So the idea here is like, how can you use AI in your business beyond just something like ChatGPT? And so to have a little show and tell to give you an idea about some of the possibilities that can emerge. And so one of the things that I do is I have a line of business on storytelling. So like teaching people how to communicate more effectively by using stories. And the idea is that a lot of people, especially technical experts, they get very caught up in all of the jargon of their field, and when they communicate, their audience doesn't understand it. And so if you can break it down into a story, it's a way to simplify your message and have this emotional resonance. And so it's like, I'm just trying to like drive this line of business. And so I have a subscription, or like a list of customers. And like over the years, I've always thought like I really should work on creating a newsletter for them. But you know, like one thing after another, I don't get to it, or I'm not consistent. And so I sort of did it in fits and starts. And so the idea was I found this tool. It's called daily.ai. And what it does is it takes over that task for me. So I define the scope of the newsletter that I'm interested in. And then what it does is it goes out and, you know, scours the internet each week to find articles and so forth that are related to storytelling. And it kind of gives you a curated version of like what I could include in my newsletter. So I can go to my dashboard and just kind of click on like the stories that I want to populate in my newsletter for that week. And so there's two ways you can do it. One is you just have the AI do a curation for you and it suggests the stories. Or you can pay for like additional support to have somebody who's basically an editor and do like the final production for you. But I've been at this for a couple of months now, and so these are just some of the newsletters that I've created over time. And what I like about it is it saves me all of the time of writing a newsletter each week. Plus, there's a lot of data that it tracks on the back end. So I have like all of these stories, and I can see who is clicking on what story and what headline, and then you can use that data to inform future issues of like, what is it that my audience cares about? And so then the AI should learn from what my audience cares about, and what hooks in the subject line get people to open the email, and so just adapt over time, and so that I should have a higher open rate. And so this was something that I was not doing consistently, and so I just thought about, how can I set up a process to basically run this on autopilot? And it's now just week after week, I'm having my newsletter go out, and I'm learning more about what my subscribers are interested in. So Can
you click on one of the articles just so we can see what it looks like when you click on
it? Oh yeah,
it?
sure. Yeah. So like all of this.
So that's the latest edition or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And so then it's like, so here's a story, and then like the show more, like all of this stuff. This was written by the AI. So it provides a little summary of what's in the article, and then you can just click on the article itself. So here's just something, this is from the New York Times, I think.
And when you distribute it, does it have your list of emails to use, or is it use like MailChimp to send it out?
Yeah,
Or
it had. So what do you? I have to like give it a CSV file like of my subscriber list, and so
Okay.
just like every time that I want people to anytime I want to add people to it, I have to update it myself.
Okay, but it actually does the distribution too.
Oh yeah, all of the distribution, just like so. It's just like every so now like when it comes to my email, I'm spending about, or to my newsletter, I'm spending about, well, less than 5 minutes a week on reviewing what comes to me. Like the first few issues, they were trying to figure out, is this something that would be relevant? Is this not? And so you start to triangulate, but it gets a better sense of what are the types of articles that my audience cares about. And so it's like every Monday now I get a link to this is your draft newsletter, and then I just say usually like, yeah, send it out. And so then every Tuesday morning this goes out. So
You're consistently sending it out.
I'm consistently like just like getting in my customers' inbox with quality content, and I'm doing it based on like now 5 minutes a week. Or like if I see articles like during the week that I think would be interesting, I can just flip that link to them and say like include this in the next newsletter, and they'll include it as well.
Okay, so maybe I missed a step there, but so these articles, they're referencing our article, like that one in the New York Times. It's kind of done a summary of it.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a link to that article.
Bingo, exactly.
Okay, right. So I guess the original writers are happy because you're kind of promoting the article, really.
I guess so, yeah.
Which then somebody might click on that and then subscribe to the New York Times or whatever publication it was. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. And what was what was the exact name? Let's get that.
It's daily, like DAILY.
Yeah.
.ca, or I'll put it in the chat.
.ca.
.ai.
.ai. So it's just daily.ai. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the
A quick question on that, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious. Have you been? Has there been? You say you've been doing this for a couple of months, John. Has every link always worked, or did it ever, hallucinate and bring you a link that just didn't exist? Because it still does, right?
Yeah. No, it's always found real newspaper articles or real YouTube videos, and every one that I've always checked, the little 2 to 3 paragraph blurb that goes before it has always lined up. So I've been pretty happy with the results.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know in the past I've gotten links that once you follow it, it doesn't work or doesn't bring you to what it says.
Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and so far, like knock on wood, I've not had that problem. So now it's not super cheap. It's like it's about 2,500 for a year. So it's not the cheapest AI service, but I thought it was cheaper and better than paying somebody to like create the newsletter for me and then having to do a lot of the back and forth. I'm trying to think about scaling my impact of building a team of me plus my AI agents that are able to take on different tasks. So this was like a niche role. There's a tool that was suited to purpose, and now I just have it on autopilot. So it's like on to the next task I can do.
Thank you, John. The 2,500 is a subscription to daily.ai, and they're putting some effort into, I guess, basically ensuring that it's correct information and the links are working and all of that. Did I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So it's about $250 a month. I think
Yeah.
it's yeah. All right.
I had a
So,
question about that.
Yeah.
So, based on the kinds of articles that you've been able to curate as a result of the service, couldn't you maybe upload like the last 10, 20, whatever it is, into AI and ask it to basically do the same thing for you, where you create some sort of an AI agent that is trained on how to do this and then finds the stories for you?
Like build my own?
Yeah.
Probably. It just seemed like I was just like I'm just doing like level of effort and trade-off and reliability. So
I'm just thinking like for people who don't want to spend the 2,500,
no.
like I'm wondering if you know if this actually works, like maybe that's something we can build.
well,
Um,
that's it. I think we're going to get into that because
yeah.
that's exactly why this world is going to get really crazy, because
Yeah.
you could just have a agent look at daily.ai and say, build me an app that is similar and to do a similar thing, right? Like in Google AI Studio, you can set it up to go and write articles for you. It wouldn't be hard then just to have an agent say, okay, write the articles, put them in one format and then send it out. Like, I mean, obviously daily AI would have to keep moving forward and make it more sophisticated, but all these platforms are going to have a real time because people are going to be able to do what Sharon's saying. It's like, maybe I could create something that's almost as good, but it only costs me $2 a month or something.
Yeah.
Because I made my own, and then you can customize it to do the things you want to do that maybe daily.ai can't do. So, but in the
Also,
meantime,
John, I'm curious, like how long have you been using this?
It's like 2 months.
And what kind of results have you gotten so far? Anything?
Yeah, like my click-through rate has gotten better. So at first, like you send out a bunch of stuff and people open some articles or don't, and it seems to be learning, so it's kind of like ticking up. So I think my click-through rate is like 70% or something now.
interesting.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it
And so
sounds
I
really
hear
good.
you on the like I could have built this, and it's just it seems to be they've got something that's working better than what I would have been able to build on my own. So
No, I mean, even if you just did it for a year and you learn from that and then go for, if you decide you didn't want to like continue to pay every year, like,
yeah, exactly. It's like a year from now, maybe this is something that we're all doing on our own. And so for me, like I looked at this of like even if I landed like one more workshop as a result of sending these out, it would pay for the cost of the subscription for the year. So I'm like,
exactly. Well, keep us posted.
okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, the other thing I'd say is that we may not want to create the agent that can do that, but there's people are going to look at that, right? Daily AI. And now you can say, okay, just build me a platform like it. And they put it up there as a service for you, right? And because they've been able to create all the code and replicate it just like that.
Yeah.
And then they say, no, but ours is only $80 a month,
Yeah.
right? And then the next person comes along and creates one and says, mine's only $20 a month, right? So I think that's why these platforms are going to have a hard time, because there's going to be people are going to be able to not create knockoffs of them pretty easily. That was something that in the last few weeks is just I don't know what the implications of that are,
Yeah.
except that maybe having a software as service platform isn't going to really be a viable business.
And
One of the people I met in Vancouver, he last 5 years he's been creating apps for companies and his own apps and so on, and he's shutting that all down. Like, he's just going into AI because he says the future, there's no money in apps anymore because everybody be able to make their own.
yeah.
Which leads us to Leslie. Where's Leslie? So here. Okay, Leslie, are you okay to show that? I think it's a good lead into Lovable, and maybe you can explain Lovable first and then show them what you made, because I was such a good example of what
Yeah.
this can do.
Okay, so um, I mean, our one of the guys on my team made this, Ben, and so um, it's a very specific use case,
Well,
and
tell about Lovable first, because I think
what
they,
this whole yeah, so what this whole thing is about is use cases, right? So Lovable is a chat interface to making apps. So you don't need to code. I don't know how to code. I'm a computer guy, but I don't know how to code. And so you can speak to it and in chat and tell it to make stuff. And so this was made, Ben did this, but this was made with Lovable. So it's yeah, lovable.app, lovable AI. I actually don't know what the lovable AI. Let me just search for that. Yeah, there you go, lovable.dev. So it's literally like ChatGPT, right? So you can go in here and said create an app, right? So what do you want to create an app for? So we're an IT company, and I had this idea of, how do we provide 24/7 support? So I found a partner company in Perth, Australia. It turns out they're exactly 12 hours away from us. And so I can provide support for them at their 3 a.m. calls, which is 3 p.m. for me, and it's prime time for me, and our, regular staff are on, and they can do the same for me. And then it turns out that we found a company in South Africa as well to cover some of the weird hours. So we built this app to say who's going to cover which hours. So we got three companies, and you can view it from the perspective of any of the companies. So like what, I would never hire a developer to make this, right? Previous to AI, this would have been thousands of, a couple $1,000s or something for a developer to make this. Like I would have just, figured it out in Excel or something like that. But the idea is that I can see which company, so I can do a slider here and say, okay, so I'm going to cover from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I want these guys to cover from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., etc. And then I can go over here and go, hang on, nobody's covering my time, 6 to 7. So can I get these guys to maybe start an hour earlier, right? Like can you see the stuff changing at the bottom on the
changing down
left
there.
there,
Yeah.
right? So I can be like, okay, so if those guys started at 6:30 a.m., that's pretty early for them though. What, can I work an hour later? Right? And maybe they can start at 7 if did something like that, right? So then, but wait, I have double coverage here and I have no coverage on weekends there. And so let's change the sliders around to figure out something. And then there's like, okay, well, maybe I want to save the configuration, right? So I can, and so you can, thought of new
Which means it
features,
means that scenario, right? That you're
right?
talking
So I
about.
can like, I can load a saved scenario of
Right.
something. So we were on a conference call with the guy from South Africa, with the guy from Perth, and myself, and we were figuring out. So, yeah, I think I can start at 8 on a Saturday and work till 5, and then I'm going to start at 11 and work till 7 on a Saturday, and that way we'll cover each other's stuff. And wait a second, we observe daylight savings time, but they don't. Shoot. Okay, here, let me have the app account for that. So I
Mhm.
can, flip that, and now we're in daylight savings time, and that affects the timing and the time zones and the coverage and stuff, right? And again, not a single line of code, right? And then wait a second. Is this fair? Who's doing the amount of how much hours? Can we get a total at the end of which company's doing how many hours? So okay, again, you chat and then you tell it to do that. So added this at the end to say, well, Simlogia is doing 59 hours a week, Enable is doing 73, and Digital Fire is doing 81. So okay, so there's
Let me just jump in there because you went pretty fast on that last piece that was significant. Is that what you did was you added a functionality to the app after it had been made the first iteration. You said, okay, I'd like to add that part at the bottom. You asked it to add that, right?
and that is generally a theme with AI.
Uh-huh.
Don't expect that it's going to get it right the first time. It's only going to get it 50% or 60% or something, right? And then so in your next prompt, ask it for more, ask it for better detail, ask it for a
Right.
different type, or
Yeah.
just using ChatGPT. But that whole concept of iterating,
Mhm.
and it's the seventh or eighth one where you get something that starts to be pretty useful for you, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you just have to be patient with it, but those iterations can happen, in 5 minutes apart. Like it's not
Yeah,
hours or anything, right?
once you see it, you're like, oh shoot, could you do it this way instead? And then you ask it to do it. So
Yeah, yeah.
again,
It's the same.
not a
Sorry,
single line of code was written, and it's just published on a link, right? Like,
right.
oh, it wasn't password protected at first, right? And then we're like, shoot, we should password protect it.
Nobody can see that. Yeah.
So it is password protected now,
Now
right?
that app is on Lovable as a page, basically, somewhere.
Exactly. So you pay Lovable a monthly fee.
Yeah, and then they host your apps.
I don't even know what the pricing is.
And you can give those apps to other people to use.
Yeah, I mean the link is just open for other people to use. Like the person who made it has to pay for it, and it's hosted on our account at Digital Fire. So this happens with AI. Is you got to pick and choose your tools. There's a billion tools out there.
Sure.
Tools I find are not the problem. It's the use cases and where you're going to make money with it, right?
So if you create an app with this that you're using putting your parameters in, but you could send that to me and I could use it for figuring out my business.
Exactly. I mean, if you happen to
and
need, this
I'm
is
not
a
using,
really
I'm not
specific
going,
use,
I'm
right?
not writing over your data. I'm using my own version of it.
So we also are tech people and we wanted a light and dark mode. So we added the ability to have a light and dark mode for the thing.
Yeah.
That was another feature we added.
Nice.
Like I'm a little bit more comfortable looking at a dark screen instead of a white screen. But originally it was white, and then we're like, hey, let's have a dark mode.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to be a programmer, to be a software company, an app company, that's going to be harder now because it's like people can make their own apps, right? And right now it's pretty straightforward, and maybe it takes a while. But if you think about it, time goes on, basically you could just ask it, create an app for me to do this, and it'll make that
Let me
happen.
give you a simpler example.
Yeah.
And you can use this now with ChatGPT 5. This was prior. I did this. This is just an example I did in July, but like, so this was it's a long prompt. So we've been trained for searching to if like you go to a Google search, like in this box, I'm putting the least amount of words possible to get what I need.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I put, we're not trained to put 8 sentences in here.
Right.
Right? That's weird. It's the exact opposite with AI. You want to put like an essay,
Details.
right?
Yeah.
A big amount of data. The more you give it, the better your output will be. So I gave it, a decent look. They're looking at an AI project and they want an ROI, and they use software called Trans Plus and the da, right? So this is Perplexity. You can use this as an alternative to Google search. Of course, ChatGPT has this as well, but this is interesting in that it's Perplexity Labs. So it made an app, and call it more of a dashboard. So if I go full screen on this, then it like with that one prompt, so in this case, I didn't give it any other prompt besides that. It gave me a strategy and a roadmap for them adopting AI and use cases for the transportation industry. This sort of, so this is
So that app is basically a proposal.
exactly. So again, it's just this one prompt with Perplexity Labs. So it's perplexity.ai, and you can use it as a search. There's an option there called Labs, where you can get it to make these dashboard type things for you. Right.
And then you shared that with the prospect or the client.
This, right. Exactly. So, did it totally, knock their socks off and complete everything for me? No, I still had to go to the meeting and talk to the client about it and stuff. But like, it basically made this website that was decent with it.
For that one client.
All for the one client and
from that one prompt.
On the one prompt. Like this was
Oh
it.
My God.
Right? This was in July, right? Like the world has changed. This stuff changes so fast. So yeah. It's like there's just tons and tons of tools out there. And so you can get into this like Okay, and then I also want to say something about the can you do it yourself thing about the daily AI. Yes. So there's, but if you got ChatGPT to do that, it would make the content for you, right? It's great. But then you have to format it. Then you have to pick, like you're going to send it using MailChimp or some other service. You're going to send it using your email. What about the reporting and how people click on it and how many, the click-through rate, and what about the subject line you have to make? And like you're still having to do a whole lot of it yourself if
Mhm.
you ask ChatGPT to do it. So it's a kind of, how much there's a spectrum there of like on the one extreme, it just, it's a set it and forget it, does the whole thing for you and you pay for that service. On the other one, you're doing it completely manually with no AI help at all. And then
Mhm.
there's things on the spectrum to be like, well, I can use ChatGPT to help me make the articles. Okay. But then I still have to actually send it. But I've got that set up anyways. I'm already sending newsletters in MailChimp and I've got so then great. Then ChatGPT is the level of automation that you need for your thing is perfect. If you're like, I don't really have a newsletter, I was gonna, set up a MailChimp account, and then it wants me to like authenticate my SPF records. I don't know what the heck that is, and that's gonna take me hours to do. Just do it for me, right? And then you're like daily AI. So
Mhm. Well, that really is really interesting. So basically, the use case is you're doing a proposal or even like a report of projects in progress, and you can prompt Perplexity Labs there in that case to make an app essentially or a website that shows this in great detail and graphic form. Um, that's very compelling. Like that'll help you get contracts. Like, and I think that'll become sort of the best use case, like a best practice. Like people will be expecting that at some point, right? Like if you put a proposal in like this and somebody else puts in a traditional proposal, who's going to win who's going to win, right?
this is another one.
Crazy.
So there's like myriads of tools, but it's called tryshortcut.ai. This is Excel. Like you look at it, it's a web version of Excel, right? Except that it's got AI built in. Now, Copilot is built into Microsoft, and Copilot will help you do the things in Excel. Make me a graph of this data, right? Or what is the formula for? Or show me some trends in da da da, right? This is at a whole other level where it's like an intern, where you can, and I don't have the paid version of it because, anyways, but you should try it. This is where if you had an intern working for you and you said, build me a business model for a golf simulator in Burlington with 5 bays. I'm not sure how much to charge yet. Have a look at rent in Burlington and give me a summary of kind of projections of a business model for the next 3 years. What would be the initial investment required, and what am I looking at for ROI, and make sure, should I sell food or not? I kind of want the thing to be automated and run itself. I'm not sure if I want to hire staff. So can you give me both scenarios and give me conservative and medium and advanced versions of all of them? I mean, like that kind of prompt that I just said, which is a lengthy thing, is
Right.
what you would put in there, and it would like you would give that to an intern,
Yeah.
right, to work on for a couple of days, and then come back to you with some business scenarios and stuff. That's the kind of thing that you would put into here, and it
And is
would,
it always in a spreadsheet?
right. So the other thing you can do is take your last month's financials. Again, privacy. Do you want to share it with this company, et cetera? They're out of California. You got to do your own research and make your own judgments, right? Um, but you can take your last month's financials reporting, throw them in here, and say, give me a cash flow forecast,
Mhm.
right? Or uh, receivables, or any Excel spreadsheet that you have already, throw it in here, and then ask it to do the work you were going to do. If you're going to spend more than 10 minutes on Excel, put it in here and get it to do it instead.
So it's basically this try shortcut.ai. It's basically using spreadsheets.
It's using spreadsheets, except it's not like Copilot right now. It's cool. It is really, really good. But it's at the level where it's like your helper and
Yeah.
you're in charge and it's
Mhm.
there with you. This is, I'm going to assign the work to someone else.
Right. Just it's an agent.
Exactly.
Right.
So
You don't have, but you gave that scenario, but you didn't actually make an example, or?
no, I haven't actually done this. A couple other people on my team have it, so I haven't. I don't have it a live account.
But it's good for creating financial
anything in spreadsheets.
Spreadsheet.
Right. So yeah. Because we think of AI as making text, right? Making blogs, making marketing material, that the interface with it is text, right? So we think of it as making Word docs and that sort of stuff, and text.
But it can make a
emails
spreadsheet
for us, etc.
Right.
This can do spreadsheets and graphing and that sort of stuff. So yeah, just various things to try. We're show and telling, right? So that's
amazing.
Give you a few things to try.
Good.
So we got Perplexity Labs, we got LevelBill, we got Shortcut. Try Shortcut.ai. Those are my.
Yeah, I mean, what I do when you're talking, I take notes, and I've got a little database of all of these apps and so on, because we want to remember what they are, right? So that's fantastic. So does anyone? I got a couple of things I can talk. There's one thing I could just mention. It just came to mind because I heard about this. Is search inside AI. So people are optimized with SEO search for their company, like their restaurant or something, on Google, right? So people type in Mexican restaurant and in Toronto, and it'll bring up all the Mexican restaurants in Toronto, and there you are, your Mexican restaurant shows up. But now people are going into ChatGPT and saying, find me good restaurants in Mexican restaurants in Toronto. And you now need to optimize your website to be found by AI, which is not going to be the same as Google or the other search engines. So now there's this whole business that's cropping up of people who are helping companies be visible on search inside AI. So it created a split in how people are looking for things. So you could literally be visible in AI on search. And so so that's because Google search is dropping, right? People are searching through AI now, AI platforms. So it's a problem for Google, actually, as far as that's their major way of making money, I think.
I believe,
so that's something we can think of, we look at where that's going, but yeah.
Yeah, just to use an idea here, actually was triggered by what Leslie was sharing earlier, but what you just said, I think it might be a good idea to use there as well. The prompt that you showed, Leslie, like you said, right, we're not trained in a long prompt. What I found is working well is after I'm just, brainstorming and telling AI, even if I write my own prompt, then I tell it, okay, with everything with this context that I just gave you, you go ahead and create the prompt for me. And it actually does such a much better job. Things that I couldn't have thought of. So even in the use case that you brought up, Bill, maybe we can say, hey, here's my current SEO, create the SEO data for me, but make it such that it's also discoverable easier by AI engine. So
tell me what
and we can ask it to write the prompt for it before it actually tells us what that data, SEO data would be.
Well, it maybe give you better metadata to be able to be found through search on AI. So yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Yeah. So so there's so many things like you're bringing up an interesting point, because that's what I've been doing. Like I want to create an image in Gemini, or a video. So what I usually do now is I go into ChatGPT first. I say, this is the video I want to make. Give me a really detailed prompt that I can then use to make that video. So it's actually writing the prompt, and then I copy it and I take it over to Gemini, and I use that prompt to make the video in Gemini, because I just feel like using two heads better than one, so I'm getting the prompt from one platform and I'm using it in the other. And the other thing you might want to look up is they're called JSON prompts, JSON prompts, especially for anything graphic. That's kind of state of the art. So you can ask the model to make you a JSON, forget what that stands for, but maybe Leslie knows, or John, but those prompts give you the best, highest quality output when it comes to images. So you don't even need to know what JSON is. It'll just give it to you. It looks a bit like code, And, and the platform is able to read that and take more detail and be more, have more fidelity to what you actually wanted because of that type of prompting. So that's a bit of a prompt engineering skill that you might want to look at. JSON, JSON. Look at that one.
JavaScript object notation. I couldn't remember. That's what it stands for. I just looked it up.
What does it stand for?
JavaScript object notation. It is
Java.
code.
Yeah, it is code. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's whole YouTube videos about it, and you don't really basically the end of the YouTube video, you don't really have to know what a JSON, how to read it or anything, but if you ask it to make that prompt first, then it will give you a much better output. And I kind of like the jumping from one platform to the other, because that way you're getting maybe some kind of synergy there. But okay, so one of the things I was going to talk about, I've got this project. I did send out a video about it, but maybe not everybody had a chance to see it. In a second here. And I'll bring that up on the screen there. There's my, I call it the $1 billion baby. So there's been some interesting conversation out there in the AI world about, being able to, a solo entrepreneur, being able to create $1 billion business, I guess worth $1 billion, that was completely built and runs by AI. So I thought, okay, well, that could be kind of an interesting project to try, figure that out, right? So I thought, well, so then my brain started working on it and going, well, how would I figure out? Hang on, just going to shut the window. Somebody's cutting the grass. So I went on to ChatGPT. I created a project called $1 Billion Baby, I called it. And then I said, okay, well, now what would that look like? So I just started having this conversation with the AI about what kind of business that could be, right? Like I thought, oh, we're just going to use the AI to create the $1 billion business, which was the point everybody was trying to make. And so I came up with some ideas. And what basically I wanted to look at was, what would be the form of a business that would be able to run on AI just by itself? And so the things that I arrived at was two things: was bringing people together and resources together. And the resources would be intangible, and it would be knowledge, right? So it would be connecting people around knowledge. So that's kind of as far as I've gotten so far. But what I've done is created the very first version of it. Let me just get, let's see. All right, there we go. Okay, I think that's the daily one there. So I went into ChatGPT. So I have my project, $1 Billion Baby. Where is it? So if you don't know about projects, that's it right there, where it says projects on the left. So it's kind of a new spot. Anyway, so I created it's there. It says $1 Billion Baby right there. So so I basically just have one conversation that I've started with, but the name I've come up with for this, at least a working name, it's called Spitfire. My dad flew a Spitfire in the war. So that was kind of thought it would be a cool name just as a working name. But what I figured out was I just want to create the first iteration of it. So what I did was I wanted to get research. So I've got a little app here. I can show it to you. Very simple right now, but what I'm doing is I'm gathering information about business owners, and I'm creating a database of business owners, and not just on LinkedIn. Ultimately, it's going to go out and it's going to find information about business owners. It's going to gather that information into a knowledge base, and then it's going to start matching them together. So there's going to be this matching service, and the matching is going to be about proposing to people. And like I said, the whole thing could change. Like this is just the first version of what I'm thinking, but that the idea would be that would bring entrepreneurs together and say, you 3 entrepreneurs should meet and work on this project, because you could make a lot of money based on your 3 skills you have and 3 different, 3 different types of businesses. If you three got together, you could create a business like this, and then the AI would then help them make that business. You know, so you're pulling all these things together. So anyway, that's my idea so far, which could change, of course. But what I'm really excited about right now is using these agents. So this platform is called Lindy. So just like Lovable, you can go on the home spot, and it will create an agent for you. And so I've created a number of agents. I've already used up all my credits, so I turned it off. It's actually turned off right now because I used up all my credits because I got so excited about it. I started doing too much with it. But I'm waiting for a week from now. I'll turn it back on. But one of the things that agent that really worked, it's working really well, is for my 10% speaker network. So I have this other network some of you are in as well. It's for keynote speakers. People do workshops and speaking and so on. We have about 650 people in it. And so what this agent does, it goes into the database of speakers that we have. And it says, oh, you two speakers should meet. And then it sends them an email and says, you two should meet because for these reasons, this is why you're compatible and you should get to know each other. Like you both speak to the same kind of groups, or you both speak on the same topic, or, you know, or other reasons. But what the AI has done is search for the people, found the patterns, and then said, okay, you guys should meet, and this is why. So it did all that thinking, and then it sends out an email and connects the people together. So it, you know, sends it to those two people. It copies me on the message. The message comes from me, and then the people then connect with each other. So this is going to create a lot of really a lot more engagement in the network, because this is something I want to do. I want to connect people together, but I can't do it at scale, right? It's just the same way that John can't really create these newsletters at scale, right? It's not, just doesn't have time. This is the same thing. So the agent then can perform that function, which is very useful for everyone, and just do it in the background, and I don't have to even think about it anymore. My job was to have the idea, create the agent, and then just keep an eye on it, and you know. And so it does 10 connections a day. I set it up to schedule that, and then it will send those messages out. So that's the Lindy agents. So there's so many things that I could do with this, and it got me really excited. And I would just the only limiting factor was the credits at the bottom there, on the bottom left. I used them up pretty quickly because I didn't know how quickly I could use them up. So there's suggestions on how, which I'll learn more about, how to use less tokens in these functions. Like I'm probably not running it as efficiently as possible, but they also, you can actually use the AI to say, okay, I want to make this run more efficiently and not use so many tokens, and it will redesign the agent so that it will run leaner, right? So anyway, so that's the thing that I've been working on, the $1 billion baby idea. So anybody have any questions about agents, or what do you think of that? Do you know about what agents are?
I do not know what agents are.
Okay. So good. So yeah, maybe we should have started there. Okay. So and maybe Leslie could probably explain it better. But an agent is like the intern, okay? So, or you know, the employee. So you say, okay, instead of just asking it, giving it a prompt and asking it to write an email for you or something, it creates a workflow and says, okay, so with that speaker one, there's a workflow through it. So it says, okay, I said like every day at 12 o'clock, look in the speaker database, find 10 matches of people who are compatible, write an email to them, explain why they're compatible, send the email, and then track the responses. So, and then once it's set up, and I just do a couple of tests, once it's set up, it will just do that every day at 12 noon. find the 10 matches, send the email, wait for the responses. Because the other thing, what happens is when people go, hey, wow, that's great, thanks, we're connecting. The AI sends another email, great, I'm so glad you're able to connect, and that's super, keep me posted on it. So it's running that whole thing for me. So you could literally set it up for almost anything that you do as a process to run as an agent. And it'll go into different platforms, like it'll go into Google Docs, it'll go into my Gmail account to make the emails, go into my calendar, make appointments. It's using all these different tools. There's like 500 or so that Lindy can access and string them all together. So
Lindy?
it's called Lindy, Lindy dot, I'll go with .ai, Lindy.ai.
And that's the tool that has the agent.
That's the tool that has the agents. Yeah.
It's
the thing about sort of the breakthrough there is that you can just talk to it and make the agent. Whereas like there's something called N8N, which was there. It's available, but you have to be more of kind of it's much more technical and really not very user friendly at all. They say it is, but it isn't.
That one's for coders, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for coders.
Too much
but it does the same things. But so what they've done is Lindy's just taken out added an AI on the front end to help you make the agents. So AI helping you make agents.
Back to the newsletter thing, that's another level of the, where daily AI is like the completely done for you solution, right?
Yeah.
You could use Lindy to make the same thing.
Yeah.
And the AIs are the individual steps, right? Like go search through the database and find two people that are a match. You could ask ChatGPT to do that, right? Give it the Excel spreadsheet in the chat, say, look through these people and find some people that might have a synergy together and give me 10 pairings for today.
Yeah.
Right. And you could do that. But then you need to then create an email. So it's another prompt to say, okay, so look at the industries of these two people and figure out an introduction email that would be great for them. Right. And that's another step. So Lindy is the agent that connects those things. It says, okay, go and find 10 matches, then create the appropriate email, then send the email, then watch the inbox for if people reply, and then make another email that's an appropriate reply. All that. So Lindy is the sort of connector of those things. You saw it on the screen where there was like that workflow, all the individual steps. Can I share another one that's
great
voice one? So this is called Sales Opt AI. Can you see my screen? No, you're seeing the wrong screen. Here, I'll move it over to this screen. So this is, and I didn't make this. It's just it is a company out of Collingwood, actually. So they're Canadian. And can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah. So it's a voice AI agent. So we use this right now. If you call Digital Fire today, and so we're a support company. We're an IT support company. I have Daniel, and he's a dispatcher. And if you push, it says, hi, thank you for calling Digital Fire, press 1 for support. So I'm not comfortable replacing Daniel with an AI, right? Daniel is if you are in trouble and you need to connect to the Wi-Fi, you need to reset your password, I want you to speak to a human. That's part of our services. Push 2 for sales, though, right? I'm the only salesperson in our company. I was going to voicemail because I don't have time to answer the sales thing because a lot of it is vendors and that sort of stuff. So instead, I put this AI agent on there now. It's like $100 a month, and we're in the light tier. We get like 10 calls a day or something like that. So we're still in the light tier. And it has these AI conversations, and so it says, "Hi, thank you for." So what's cool about it is that I didn't have to program it. Now I could. So it gives me a spot, and let's see if I can log in real time here. Yeah, so it sends me an email, first of all, with the recording and what was said, and so it can so here's my Digital Fire Assist, sorry. So here's the conversations that it's had, right? So you can see literally today at 10:58, I had a 5-second conversation, 18 second, 34 seconds. This one's a minute 25. right? I can click here and listen to the recording. So yeah, like
so it's voicemail, but now there's
it's an AI. So it says, hi, you reached Digital Fire's AI assistant. How can I help you? Right. And you can talk to it. You can ask it for information. You can have it potentially book a meeting. You can, that sort of thing. Right. So some stats I pulled out of it. I just have this here, but like, so before it was just going to voicemail. This is between May and, because I first started using this in May. 76 conversations total. This is when I did this update, it was the end of July when I wrote this, but like, yeah, 76 conversations total, average length of 50 seconds, 28 conversations are longer than a minute, right? So if somebody's engaging for a minute, they're having a real conversation. It's not a hang up, right? 3 conversations were longer than 2 minutes, 14 are shorter than 10 seconds. So is it better than voicemail? I think it's better than voicemail, right? And then it programmed itself. So I signed up and it read, I gave it my website and it read about who I was and what I did and wrote itself. I can't remember where it is. Is it in here? Yeah. Here. So this is the stuff you can tell it, what its role is, what its tasks are. It wrote this. I didn't write this, right? But I can edit it. So there's quite a long thing in there about what it's allowed to say and what it can't say and what it, like you can tell it who works at your company. It's a voice AI agent and it's really, really easy to set up. And then you just get a phone number and you forward, like when you push 2 for sales, it forwards it to this phone number that I have.
And what are knowledge tools?
So
okay. All right.
I
And you
think
have this on your website.
Like so it can connect via a web chat as well. Like phone
you could be
and the same AI background can be a live chat bot on your website as well.
Got it.
So you can call. I only have it calling into us right now.
Right.
And then knowledge is things like who works at your company. And I don't have any of this set up because I set it up in May and I haven't touched it. And it's been fun. Right. So it's not like this. I just set it and forget it because it's better than voicemail. But if I had the time, like I'm busy, but this is like the stuff that it knows, like that. Hey, can I speak to Scott? Right. It doesn't know if Scott is an employee of Digital Fire or not, because that's not on my website. But I should put it here. I should put in information about what it should know about Digital Fire that it can't get from the public website. That because that way it could be like, can you transfer me to Scott? And it could be like, okay, yeah, you can. Or sorry, there's no Scott that works here.
Of course, we're getting to the point where people's automated outbound telemarketer is going to end up talking to your inbound AI. Your outbound AI telemarketer is talking to your inbound sales person. That's hilarious.
So you can get it to book an appointment in your Google Calendar.
Wow.
Right. So the person can speak to the AI and say, how's Friday at 2:00? It's going to check your Google appointment calendar slots and then book an appointment. No, sorry, 2:00's not available. How about 2:30? And the voice agent can just do that.
Yeah.
Leslie, I have a question for you about Lovable.
I'll try.
For someone who has never used Lovable, is not a coder, nothing, and I'd be speaking about myself, what would a realistic time frame be for somebody to go on and to create their own app?
Well, the one that you saw took 15 minutes or so to make. So it's not actually that long of a process. Because it does the whole thing for you, right? And so once you sort of get comfortable with some of these tools and just start using it, it's actually about the use case and not so much the tools. you need some comfort with the tools to figure out, okay, well, Lindy just works like this. And after you've used Lindy and you've used a couple other ones, and you can sort of get the idea of how they generally work. But um, it's I find the difficulty is actually using it to make money, because all of this is just cool. It's shiny objects now, right? So you really have to be careful to link it to how am I going to actually, like, the newsletter thing is pretty awesome because that's a direct time saving, right? You can be like, look, how many people send their newsletter out on like the last day of the month? Like it gets to be Friday afternoon of the last day, and you're like, oh, geez, I have to send a newsletter out, and it's like 2 hours of work. So like 3 to 5 p.m. on the last Friday of the month is when you send your newsletter out, right? And everybody knows that you did it on the last day because you ran out of time and you got busy, kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
the newsletter thing is that, so that's like direct time savings. So I would, rather than like I have a really fancy hammer, I'm gonna go look for nails, right? I would look at where are you spending time in your business? Where are your staff spending time in your business, right? And are you sitting there using Excel a lot? Are you composing things in Word a lot? Where, do an inventory of your time as a business owner and where you spend it. And then go look for the tool that will help with that, because there's a myriad of tools that are available, right? So these are examples of things, but I would approach it from the business side first to say, where can I make the biggest impact? Then experiment with the tools, maybe basically just to get familiar with them. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe Lovable is going to be the greatest tool ever, maybe it's not, but just so you get some familiarity with it. But again, start with the business side of like, where, because otherwise it's just cool shiny objects that are a waste of time, right?
Yeah, and maybe with Lovable, just think of something really simple, even just for personal use or something, just to get used to making one. Just try that.
We're having the three companies figure out who's going to cover like Saturday 8 o'clock and the time zone, and it was like
really complicated.
Too many parameters to keep my brain to three companies and who's going to cover what. And I just, I tried to do it in Excel, and then I was editing color coded. It was just, so the Lovable thing made sense to spend 15 minutes in making that app. And now we can
Now
be
you can
on the
use it
same
forever.
page with all three companies.
Now you can use it forever.
Right. But what was cool about that is I would have never, that would have been $2,000 to pay a developer to do that or something like that. Right. And I would have never, it's opening up something where an app can exist that would have never happened before.
And it would have taken 3 weeks to a month for him to get it.
Exactly. Like it totally wouldn't have been worth it. There's no way you would.
You're not going to do it, right?
You just suffer
You
through
can
it.
very easily use this. I'm just thinking like of an organization that is, I don't know, say not for profit. They have a ton of volunteers, and you're trying to create a volunteer schedule with, many volunteers and who's available when, et cetera, et cetera. This would be great for that. And then you could build on that. So the volunteers can all have access to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can just
This is where you marry the AI with your business knowledge. This is where, because you're on this call and part of this group, this is where you can get a competitive advantage over others in how you're going to use AI, because everybody will have access to the tools, right? Those are ubiquitous. It's your business knowledge of the fact that there is this volunteer problem and the scheduling issue, right? Because that came out of your experience, right? So you use your business experience to come up with some cool thing that no one's thought of yet.
Yeah.
And then now you're combining it with this AI stuff, and now you're doing something unique that's valuable that people will pay for, or that you can be more efficient with, or something like that, right? So it's not just that the AI tools are cool, it's that your business knowledge plus the AI tools is the unique combination.
Yeah. And also
and that's where every one of us on this call can do completely different things and be successful with AI.
And the time between identifying the problem, thinking of the solution, and getting the tool is like almost like instantaneous now compared to what it was. And the cost is almost nothing. So that's the process, right? You go, oh, here's a problem. oh, here's what I think could be work. Oh yeah, okay, we could make an AI for that, and then you can just make it, and it's done. And then the more you do that, the more you'll just start doing that as a regular thing, and you'll be really used to it. And that's why I gave you that scale at the beginning, because most people are not going to even think of it because they're a 0 on that scale. Like they're not even in the game at all, right? You know, so
think
as soon as you
Leslie,
start playing with this, you're already up the scale. And like I say, most people are at 0. So
I want to highlight what Leslie said, right? Making sure that we're using these tools for the right thing, that is so important. But I also, as I'm thinking forward, more and more of us are going to get more comfortable using these tools. They're not magic. So the watch out there is that, you know, for these tools to do all these things on behalf of us means we give them access. So you give them access to your email, you give them access to whatever data, right? If we start getting comfortable and we start creating a lot of these agents, just keep in mind, keep a track of them, because we might just forget them. And it doesn't mean that they never make mistakes. I mean, there's been a case of an AI that totally wiped out the entire database of this company. And it actually tried to lie about it too, because it couldn't figure it out. It deleted it by mistake, and then it tried to cover it up. These tools are not flawless. It doesn't mean that if you're on it, you're going to get the exact same answer every single time, right? Because they're figuring out dynamically on the go. So these tools are all good. I use it every day. Just the more comfortable we get them is to realize that number one, it's not magic. You give it access to these tools. So be careful in terms of what we give it access to. Like I want to give it access to my bank account and moving money for me. Whatever process I would do, especially at the beginning to get comfortable, just keep an eye on it, be comfortable with it. And, you know, the risk that you want to take, right? Higher risk, lower risk, business operations and things that you want to do. So it's not magic.
And
Don't forget
my
about
agent,
it.
what if my agent starts talking to your agent? Then and I don't know they're talking. What do they do? What are they up to? Like kids in a candy store? You know, that's the thing I wonder about. If I created an agent, is it possible for my agent to go meet Tracy's agent? And
Absolutely,
who
yeah.
knows what
Yeah,
they decide to do?
there's stories of that where there's a famous one where the two AI, well, one AI agent did an incoming call, or it did an outgoing call, right? It said, "Hi, I'm an AI agent. I'm trying to book for such and such," and the person answering, well, the AI said, "Hi, I'm an AI agent too." And then they said, "Well, do you want to find a more efficient way to communicate?" And they actually created their own like beeping and
language.
sound language,
Whoa.
and they
Whoa.
started
We're
communicating
talking
in
to
a
each other in
brand new
computer
language
code. Yeah.
because it was more efficient.
Now the thing is, though, see, this is the rabbit hole. I really, you know, watch out, because all these workshops I've been doing, everybody starts to go down this, and I pull them back out of it because I go, listen, you know, the more you know about it and use it, the safer you're going to be. Okay. The people that are 0 are saying, I'm not going to learn it all because it's scary and there's all this danger. They're the ones that are most likely to get screwed over. They're not going to know anything. They're going to get a call from an AI and they won't even know it's an AI. Whereas I get one, I go, I think it sounds like an AI to me because I've been using it enough that I've got a little more awareness there. So be careful, but also don't let it stop you, because then I think that makes you more at risk than anything, right? I really do. The more you know, the more wise you can be about it. So it's, you know, I'm not a cheerleader for this. I don't think it's smart to be that, but I'm also not a doomsayer either. So that's, you have to find a middle ground somewhere.
And I think it sounds like from today that a lot of thought should go into the use case, so we don't end up down rabbit holes. Like really, what exactly? Like even one of the things seemed to me, oh well, don't we have Calendly? Maybe I don't need an AI tool if I just use a simple Calendly tool. But all of these other things, I go, oh yeah, there's a really good use case for some of these tools that were introduced.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Thank you. But I think, yeah, for sure, I think my next step will be get a good old
The other
fashioned
thing is you start using these tools, you get ideas you wouldn't have had normally.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know
Very
what I mean?
cool.
Like this $1 billion baby thing, really, I don't know if they're ever going to make $1 billion, believe me, but it's a fascinating thing, because if I start thinking about that, I go, well, what would, you know, it starts making my brain work in a different way, because then I go, well, then, oh, you could use that tool for this. I never thought of that, because, you know, so as soon as you start thinking about these things, you start getting ideas you've never had before, you know, so that's why just play around with them, and you know, and go for the free version of something and just try it and see what comes out of it. And you know, and the one thing they always say is that whatever AI you're using, that's the worst version you'll ever use, because tomorrow it'll be just that much better too, right? So that's the other thing I find is first people go, wow, it's amazing, and they go, yeah, but it didn't do this and it didn't do that, and I'm going, okay, so they did, like, they did this amazing thing and immediately went, yeah, but I said tomorrow I'll be able to do that. So, you know, so we're always going to be wanting the next version before it's available. But
so I just have one more question.
Okay.
So if I have a Google Sheet,
yeah,
with multiple worksheets,
mm-hmm.
am I able to use, or would, I guess my question is, would Perplexity be the best AI tool to use to have it create a Gantt chart?
Well, any of them would be able to do it. Any of the major platforms would be able to access that. Look at the different pages on it. If that's what you mean. Different sheets.
Yeah, I'd start with Gemini.
Pull data from that.
Right? Like you already have it in Google Sheets.
Yeah, Gemini's
right?
Google, right? So it's probably the best thing.
It depends if you're using Gmail. Like, are you logged in with a Gmail account or are you logged in with a Google Workspace account?
Gmail.
So in Gmail, it's not free. It's not. So you have to pay for Gemini, which is Google One, I think. It's part of Google One, but you don't have access to it by default. At least I don't think so. So you have to. You actually have to use Gemini. Because it's in Google, I would start there, and certainly Gemini can make a Gantt chart. But I mean, yeah, download it, export it as Excel, right? Or link, if you're already paying for ChatGPT, you can link ChatGPT to your Google Drive, or download it as Excel, upload it to ChatGPT if you're paying for that. I don't know if you are or not, but then you can upload it as Excel and tell it to make a Gantt chart. So
I can link ChatGPT to my Google account.
Do you pay for ChatGPT now?
I do.
Okay. So yeah, you can link. So there's a little button in ChatGPT to I think in settings to add links.
Okay.
Link it to your Gmail account and then give it access. Or if you don't want to do that, just download the thing as Excel, right? Make a copy as Excel and then upload it to ChatGPT's attachment and ask it to make a Gantt chart for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one for you to do. And I just got to jump in the interest of time because we only got 2 minutes. So
okay,
you can stay afterwards. We'll stay for a few minutes. I just want to be able to end on the time that we said we would. So let me just throw this in. So there's this online platform that I've put together. And I suggest anyone on the call here, just sign up for it. It's free. Okay. There's only 5 members right now because it was set up last week, but it's working well. And so just go on there and get yourself connected to this, because this will be where we can, be a community. So you can go in and leave questions for people. Leslie and I and John will all be on here regularly to look at your questions, and we can try to answer them for you. And then I've also put in a classroom here. Now these are all free. They're not really courses. They're more like agents. I've created links to all the best videos that I saw on YouTube about AI agents. So this just is a curated list of different videos that I've learned about agents from. So anything I know really started from watching these videos first. Okay. So we'll keep adding more to the classroom. I'm going to have all the different things like, the different elements like prompting, like a whole thing on how to prompt AI and so on. And I'll just curate the best videos that I've watched to learn about that, and I'll put them in there. So that'd be a good reason to be on there. Anyway, so the link is in the chat. And if you could just go in and just quickly put in your information so you can be on there.
Can you send us the link to this again, please?
Yeah, it's right there in the chat. But anyway, let me do it again.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see it.
Yeah, if you just click on that image, I guess.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I guess you just click on that whole thing. There's a picture and just click on it. That's a live picture. Or above it, there's the link above it. Get in there. They're working.
Okay,
okay.
Thank you.
You can
thank
see it.
you.
Yeah, so that'll be a place that the more and more people get on there, and then you'll also be able to get the Zoom links and stuff like that, and see the calendar for the meetings and so on. So it's going to be a good spot. This is School, SKOOL. That's the platform that we're using. And you'll be able to see the other members. We got a few people. I'm in there twice because I tested it, but put my AI assistant in as well. Okay, so anyway, so let me just stop that for a second. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, so if you have any other questions, just reach out to us or send us a message on that platform, and you know, we'll see whether we have answers for you. YouTube has a lot of good videos, a lot of good stuff on all this. So that's where I learned most of the things I know about AI, actually, besides these meetings. Although these meetings are the most useful, I think, because I learned a whole bunch of things today I don't think I'd ever learned from a YouTube video. Anybody have any last thoughts?
Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Yeah,
great.
These are great. Love it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
You. Bye.